what is a working democracy. So there is not the democracy.
Okay, okay. It means you are saying that if we talk about which system is better is not a question. The question should be like for the state. If we talk about the Pakistan, which system is better for Pakistan? So come to the point like this, that which system is best for Pakistan? Is the democracy or the dictatorship?
I would even not say for the state, but for the people, because people matter. Okay. And in democracy, you have it in the word, it's the rule of the people.
Yeah.
And therefore, I would always say democracy is better, but still, as I told you, I'm pretty much an expert on Libya, and comparing, for instance, Libya today to Libya under Gaddafi, if you ask Libyans today, they would say under Gaddafi, it was much better. Now they have more or less democracy, but so many people are killed, they are not safe, they are not secure, so they would answer the question, well, for us dictatorship was better. Not every Libyan would say so, but many would say so.
Fine.
So it is very relative.
Okay, okay. In particularly, if we talk about the capitalism, we can see there are few features of capitalism in Pakistan. Sometimes in economic means we can find out the features of capitalism in Pakistan. So what do you think, capitalism, this is the land for capitalism?
I'm in Pakistan now for 2 years and I'm still not an expert on Pakistan, and most likely I will never be, and probably there is nobody who could claim to be an expert on Pakistan. It's again what serves the people best, not only a few people but the majority. And ideally, of course, every single individual, but this you will never reach, because this is an ideal. Still, I would never condemn capitalism as such, because there are some good features. I would never condemn communism as such, because there are some good features. Again, being a German and having the experience of both, like capitalism, which is, well, common in Western Germany, Eastern Germany as being a former communistic country, I got to know pretty much both. And again, there is no clear answer to this question. That is at least my point of view.
Okay. If we say about the democracy is for people, it's about people.
Exactly.
So which makes the democracy more closest to the people?
How do you mean that?
Means like if democracy is for the people, and it means that it's the more closest to the people. Like, what makes the democracy more closest to the people?
Because democracy, in contrast to dictatorship, for instance, grants them the right to participate. It's up to the people if they use this right. I mean, this is a problem in Western countries, for instance. Now they have democracy, but they are too lazy, or they don't believe in democracy, so they don't use their rights. Here, maybe people, Pakistan is a democracy. It's an Islamic Republic, it's a democracy. Still here you have many people who are illiterate, who maybe simply are not able to use their rights being citizens.
So this is a very common history, and everybody knows about that. Pakistan are not good to experience democracy this long time. It's not like this. It's been dictatorship in a long time. Pakistan has been experienced all the time. So which is actually more influential in Pakistan? Democracy is more influential in Pakistan, especially on people, or the dictatorship is more influential in Pakistan, especially on people?
Again, these are very huge questions you're raising, and these are very good and, of course, interesting questions. But there are two things I would like to say. One thing is it so necessary to do this judgment? I mean, shouldn't one stick to the situation Pakistan is in now and try to do the best for the people again?
So if we talk about the democracy is more closest to people, so it means that if we take the people more near to us, so it means like this is really good than the dictatorship, because dictatorship is having a one-man show, and this is the world of global village, and people have to be connected, interlinked with each other. So how could you, means like this dictatorship should avail in this state of mind and in this global village in general, if we talk about?
In general, I stick to that what I said, a one-man show or one-woman show is never good, because everybody should be involved, everybody should feel responsible for the state and for his family, for himself, for herself, definitely. So therefore, I do believe in democracy, especially since Germany is experiencing a good time being a democracy. But still, I would say it pretty much depends on the people, on the mindset, on the willingness, on education, on everything.
Okay.
So there is no one solution.
Okay. If you talk about particularly about the Pakistan, then Pakistan faced dictatorship. It's been like more than 40 years.
Yes.
So if we see this dictatorship, the dictator comes from the military side. And in general, if you put in this way that if military personnel will work on the politician's side, then who will work on the military side? So it means like that by nature, it's not suitable, because there are few things around us, as we are frontline state. It's been like long time.
Yeah.
We are facing militancy and the frontline state status. So if we need military by all means, internal and external. If the military will occupy in the political side, then what would we do after that? So it means like that they should have to be their part on the military side, and politicians should do their part. So dictatorship is in personal note, but for Pakistan is not as appropriate. What do you suggest?
As I said, dictatorship is most likely never the best, also not for Pakistan, because you still need to involve the people. You need the people to believe in that, what you want to reach, especially for them. I mean, everyone has the personal goals which he or she wants to reach.
Okay.
So dictatorship maybe helps, maybe not. Okay. However, in general, I believe democracy offers more opportunities to the people.
Okay.
However, Pakistan, as you are mentioning, is in a very special condition. There are so many influences. External, internal, exactly. The regions are very, very different from each other. They are very educated urban areas. They are very...
they are less educated.
Exactly.
Okay, this is fine.
And for them, of course, it would be maybe more attractive to have a dictator who is deciding everything for them.
Okay. If you talk about the electoral system, then what should we do? That electoral system in Pakistan should prevail if we talk about the democracy. How could we enhance this electoral system in Pakistan?
Well, first and foremost, education and knowledge.
Education and knowledge.
Yeah. Because how should people know? And how should they understand the system?
Okay. What do you say that electoral system needs education? It's a long-term policy. But if we talk about the short-term policies to make the things good in the electoral means, so what should we do first?
I don't think there
are a few campaigns we need to take. There are a few conferences we need to take to make them sure that you have to go for the vote and the electoral system is good and you have to cast your vote. We need to have some campaigns and something like this.
For this, you have to wait. You have to work on the very grassroots level for sure. Otherwise, you cannot take the people along.
Okay.
And conferences, that's nice, but with that you don't reach the normal people. And the normal people are those who vote. What I think is that now the local elections...
Should we use media as a forum to reach the normal people?
Definitely. Media, TV, radio, social media. I mean, these days, even in the rural parts of Pakistan, many people have a smartphone. So this for sure is a way out, or a way for more education, definitely.
Okay. There are always flaws and there are always merits and demerits in each and every system. True. Definitely. If we talk about the democracy, more closest to the people, and for the Pakistan, this is one of the best system. We can see that in future and in past if we have some experiences. So there are some flaws in the democratic system. In democracy, in this political system, do you see there are any flaws? In general, in the
in the democracy, of course. I mean, as in any system, nothing is really perfect. Exactly. So, and that is what people say. Well, democracy is not perfect, but until now, it's still the best we could figure out. Maybe after 100 or 1,000 years.
So, what are the main features you can say about the flaws in democracy?
I would say still, and you have that also in Western countries, of course, democracies also, I told you about that, democracies can be in a very different...
according to the situation it
Exactly, according to the situation of every country. So democracy in Germany is of course different from democracy in the United States or Canada or wherever, or in Pakistan.
But Dr. Almit, if this is a system, if we talk about just about the system, that this is a system, there are few flaws in
exactly,
the system.
because so every system can be abused.
Can be, exactly. So merits and demerits are always exist.
Yeah, influencing people.
Do you believe that democracy has a one flaw, which is that you have to have many people around you to take the decisions, and if one is not agree on one decision, then the major decision and mega projects could be like.
Well, that's the old question. That's the old question. How do you rule? I mean, that's the difference between communism and the Western system. Because in the Western system, people decided, well, this problem actually we cannot solve, so we stick to the majority. And somewhere else, they said, no, we solve it in a different way.
Okay.
So this is again something every country, not even country. I mean, you could also go like province-wise or even district tehsil-wise, has to decide that from themselves, how they want to govern themselves. Okay. Switzerland is completely different from Germany, and they are happy because the whole setup is completely different.
Okay, okay. So do you believe in local bodies election? And
definitely.
Do you believe in this? What are the main features of this as we talk about the merits?
Well, it's close to the people, and people at least have the impression that they can influence more. Again, that depends very much on the external and internal factors. But in general, it's better to have that because it's close to the people. The parliament is far away from the people in general, let it be in Germany or in the US or in Pakistan. But local elections, having somebody in your tehsil, in your village, who is responsible in case he or she feels responsibility and bears that, is willing to bear that, is willing to work, that's a great thing.
Means you think transferring of power is a really good thing from the upper to lower level?
If it's done wisely, definitely.
Wisely means like
wisely what? Means you have to educate those who
are going to rule.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you don't, then nothing will happen. Or it's just on...
Means if they will just a tribal and feudal system of a local bodies, then that won't work.
It will definitely work differently than it could.
Yeah. Okay, fine.
It will always work somehow, but
not the results will be like that. What we really expect.
Most likely, unless you have a very responsible landlord, then no doubt this will work out well.
Yeah.
But not necessarily.
Okay, if you talk about the Pakistan, the democratic system, yes, we have few tenures of democratic or electoral system.
Yes, you have.
First, we have seen the Bhutto system and then the Zardari system and the few 1.5 and 2 years period of the Nawaz Sharif and the Benazir. So, which democratic or electoral period you have read or you have studied or somewhere observations is the best for Pakistan or served good by all means? Or if they have few features good in each, then what?
This question I would give back to you because you are more an expert. In Germany, we do not have any Pakistan studies.
Okay.
I mean, we do have
right now we have electoral government. If we talk about the right now, what are the good features of this and what are the bad features of this electoral system? Yeah, we can say the elected government, what we are having right now. What are they doing good and what they are doing bad, what they should do more good?
Well, I think they are trying to do their very best, and there's nothing else I could add because this is not up to me as a foreigner to judge. This must come from the Pakistani people. They know better than I do.
If we talk about the policies and the analysis, then what do you see that the policies are really for the people or they should have do something more for this?
You can always do more, but this also refers again to Germany. I mean, again, there is no limit actually.
Okay, fine. But if we said just about that, the Pakistan should have prolonged this electoral system, then what should we do apart from the education and campaign? We have to raise a few political organizations at the party level or at the government level. Is it a solution? Because there are few people who are talking about that we should have few things to elaborate few more parties. So could we do this like this? Could we develop parties by ourselves?
You mean even more? I mean, Pakistan is having already many parties.
Yeah.
Of course, I mean, there's no right or actually no law that forbids to set up a party, I guess.
Okay.
So why not? But this is again something that must come from the people. You cannot
impose
tell
parties.
people. Exactly, you cannot impose. That's not the
Political
right,
parties
that
cannot
the right
impose
way.
themselves and parties cannot be like take birth in a minute.
No, exactly. Everything is time consuming. Everything needs its time. That is at least what we learned in Germany. And observing Pakistan, it's exactly the same.
Okay, okay.
I mean, people go for quick changes, but no change is quick. And if it's too quick, then it's also not easy.
Fine. If we talk about just the upheavals, and we can say about the barriers, we have seen few barriers and upheavals in the Pakistan electoral system. So what are those and how could we eliminate it?
What exactly would you mean by that?
Means like this, if we have some barriers and we have some upheavals in the Pakistan electoral system. We have some in the election commission and in the party system, in the way ad hoc system, we can say this, and the tug of war situation, the one is pulling and one is pulling like this. So can we have some solutions to eradicate or to eliminate these things? In general, if scholarly discussion will prevail, then can we have some solutions to eradicate or eliminate these things?
Well, here again, I'm sure you have better solutions than I could offer. So here I'm listening to you. What would you suggest? What would you give as an example?
Okay, okay, but as a Pakistani, we have seen few things that we have to educate, we have to launch campaigns, and we have to reforms in the election commissions.
Yes.
These are the three things. Education is a prolonged process. And if you talk about the election commission reforms, we have taken already few reforms in election commission. So if internationally you have overview that there are few reforms in electoral process being occurred. So there are few, if then you can better suggest us, then we can have all these things.
Well, again, there's no solution I could offer, especially for Pakistan. But of course, any electoral system, any election system is having changes. Again, the same is happening in Germany. Sometimes people are happy, sometimes they are not happy, but then it's a struggle, then it's a discussion, and at the end, the majority should be convinced of that. Otherwise, it's not a good...
this is actually a point. Majority should be convinced.
Yeah, exactly. And ideally, the majority is not 51%, but rather not even 99%. That's too much, but let it be 60, 70%. That's quite pretty, well, that's pretty good already.
Okay, okay. Dr. Almit, we need to have a small break and we will back to the point we are discussing. We will have a small break and then discussion will be continued again. Okay. थोड़ी सी बात हम करेंगे अब उर्दू में, क्योंकि कुछ चीज़ें हैं जो हमें जाननी होंगी, जो हमें देखने वाले लोग हैं और बेहतर समझते हैं बात को जब हम उर्दू में करते हैं. हम बात कर रहे हैं डेमोक्रेसी के बारे में, जमहूरियत के बारे में, आमरीत के बारे में और पाकिस्तान को क्या सूट करता है. अभी तक जो हमने डॉक्टर अलमित से बात की उसके मुताबिक और जो खुद अभी तक जान पाए, अपनी हिस्ट्री को देख लें या खुद को, हमें ज़रूरत है इलेक्टोरल प्रोसेस की, हमें ज़रूरत है जमहूरियत की. हमें क्यों ज़रूरत है, इसका साफ सा जवाब है कि ये लोगों से करीब रहने का ज़रिया है. ये वो निज़ाम है जिसे शूरा से जोड़ सकते हैं हम. ये वो निज़ाम है जिससे हम लोगों तक रसाई हासिल कर सकते हैं. लोकल बॉडीज़ इलेक्शन भी उसकी एक मिसाल है, लेकिन उसके लिए हमें क्या करना होगा. कुछ ब्रीफ से पॉइंट जो हमने बात की वो बताते चलें आपको साथ साथ कि उसके लिए हमें एजुकेशन, तालीम ये वो वाहिद हल है जिससे हम हर बड़े छोटे को ये बता सकते हैं कि ये तुम्हारा हक है और इस हक को तुमने इस वोट के थ्रू कैसे लेना है. उसके बाद इलेक्शन रिफॉर्म्स के ऊपर हमने काफ़ी प्रोग्राम्स देखे और किए. ये भी एक वो सोल्यूशन है जिसके ज़रिए हम बहुत सी चीज़ों को बेहतर कर सकते हैं अपने इलेक्टोरल सिस्टम और डेमोक्रेसी को वापस एक मजबूत जगह पे पहुंचाने के लिए. अपने प्रोग्राम इनसाइड पाकिस्तान विद अमारा में एक छोटे से ब्रेक के बाद वापस आते हैं. इनसाइट पाकिस्तान विद अमारा में आपकी होस्ट अमारा रब्बानी आपके साथ फिर हाजिर है. प्रोग्राम के ब्रेक में जाने से पहले हम बात कर रहे थे जमहूरियत और आमरीत के बारे में और पाकिस्तान को जमहूरियत ने क्या दिया और पाकिस्तान को आमरीत ने क्या दिया. इसके बारे में कुछ पॉइंट्स जो हमने डॉक्टर अलमित से डिस्कस किए. उसके बाद हम बात करना चाहेंगे कि पॉलिटिकल स्टेबिलिटी के लिए हमें क्या करना चाहिए. अगर हम सियासी इस्तेहकाम की बात करते हैं तो उसके लिए हमें कौन सी वो चीज़ है जो सबसे पहले करनी चाहिए. अगर हम देखते हैं, अगर हम एक सब्जेक्ट के तौर पे इसको देखते हैं तो इकोनॉमिक मईशत वो चीज़ है जिसके ज़रिए बहुत बड़ी बड़ी सियासतें और बहुत बड़ी बड़ी बिसातें या तो ख़त्म हो गई हैं या फिर उन्होंने सर उठा लिया है. तो हम अपनी मईशत को कहाँ लेके जा सकते हैं? उसके जरिए पॉलिटिकल स्टेबिलिटी, यानी कि उसके जरिए सियासी इस्तेहकाम किस हद तक अरूज पर लेके जा सकते हैं, इस पॉइंट की तरफ आते हैं डॉक्टर बिजोल के साथ जी। So here we are again and come to the point what we are discussing. Let's have a little bit different diversions of the same topic. We were talking about the democracy, we were talking about the electoral system and the importance and significance of the electoral system and the democracy for the Pakistan. Yes, this is a near to the people, and yes, we are accepting this more and more rather than a dictatorship, as we have the history of both. Okay, if we talk about the economics as a discipline, yes, you are actually a PhD doctor, so you are well aware about that. Economics is the mother of all discipline. So if we want to have political stability, what do you think? We really need to have economic stability first?
Definitely.
Definitely. Then the next step is that Pakistan is having CPAC. CPAC is something which is really, it's like a hope for Pakistan. It seems like that it's a $47 billion project, it's a mega project of the region. So what do you think, if this project will run very good, successfully, then will it be contribute for the political stability of Pakistan?
I do think so. But you were mentioning it, the ways you put your words, it needs to be done very carefully, as everything. Especially the bigger it is, the more carefully you have to be. Because it's affecting so many different areas, it's affecting so many different interests. Of course, it's good for the Chinese, it should also be good for the Pakistanis.
Okay, both of them?
Both.
Okay.
Then it's a win-win situation. But to get that, people need to be very careful.
Okay. But if we talk about the capitalist, capitalism is the system which we are having in our economics, in all aspects of finance and economics in Pakistan. What do you think? So that isn't it a contradiction that democracy we are having as a political system, and at the economic system we are having the capitalism? So isn't it a contradiction?
That depends on how you live that. I mean, capitalism is not necessarily bad. It depends on the way how it is conducted,
if you talk about the Pakistan,
lived.
if you talk about the Pakistan.
In Pakistan, in general, I mean, that depends on how you define capitalism in Pakistan. In general, whatsoever is done, people need to bear responsibility. And there's no harm or no harm in making money. But still, you should not, you should bear responsibility.
But Dr. Almir, don't you think so that we have to be responsible like this? If you are talking about responsibility, you have to be responsible first.
Definitely,
if you are
always.
having any policy or anything.
Yeah.
But if you are having capitalism, then don't you think that we are having external influence on our policies?
That depends again in which dimension you see that.
Like we have seen the carry-over bill. Carry-over bill was one of the thing we can say that from the IMF, and we took aid and we took money from that carry-over bill. But we have few, we can say the major influence of that bill on our policies. One of the, we allowed them to have surgical strikes on our land, which have been experienced in Osama incident in Abbottabad. So when we are having the external influence by their economics means, then don't you think that our policies of Pakistan will be diminished, or Pakistan's policies will be influenced from them?
For sure it's influenced. I mean, no doubt about that.
So then capitalism...
That is what you always have to expect if somebody is, is offering something, then, but that is the same from the Chinese side. I mean, they are offering a lot to Pakistan, and of course they wouldn't give you anything for free. Why should they?
Yeah, there's no free lunch, I guess.
Yeah. So as I said, the ideal situation is a win-win situation at the very end, and both sides get something out of it.
Okay.
But this is always a struggle.
What you are having and what you are giving is important. You need to be careful that what are you giving?
Always,
are you giving just resources, or are you giving your state sovereignty?
This, and are you getting something out of it?
Yeah, you are getting something out of it. Fine. Okay, fine. If you talk about the political system as democracy as a political system, and obviously we need to find out the word that democracy used to say about the economic system. Capitalism is very for sure about the economic system. They have free trade, they have something interest-based things and all these things. Is there any very clear things in democracy about the economic system?
In Germany, we very much go for social market economy. And this exactly means that responsibility needs to be borne. You cannot do that without, because in the long run, it will not pay off. People will be unhappy, and as soon as you have unhappy people, the system doesn't work anymore. And therefore, to continue answering the question you asked in the beginning, if you want to have a flourishing economy, then of course you have to do something for that. And only when the people are satisfied, then the rest will also be there. And with the rest, I mean like a working democracy.
Fine.
And yeah, that goes together, definitely. You cannot have that separately.
Okay, Dr. Bizzul, one thing I really want to know, personally I really want to know, how long you are in Pakistan?
My family and I, we moved to Pakistan almost 2 years back.
Okay. And then how do you find Pakistan?
Well, that is not the first time that I'm in Pakistan. In 2010, I was on maternity leave with my eldest son, who is 6 now. My husband and I, we came by car from England, UK to Pakistan. So via Europe, Turkey, Iran, Baluchistan. So we know Pakistan a bit.
It's been 2 years continuously in Pakistan.
Exactly.
Okay. So how do you find the best thing in Pakistan as per the culture and as per the people and interaction with the people? How do you
People are very nice. And there's one major difference if you compare Pakistan to at least the Western countries. People are very young here.
Young?
Yeah. In Germany you hardly have any children, so Pakistan has many children, so that is a good change.
So young people and many children. Is it a good sign? Because people are saying that Pakistan is the 6th growing population. So is it a good sign?
Well, that again is a very delicate question. I would say yes and no. I mean, it's good to have growth, but it must be controlled, because otherwise, if you cannot cater the needs of the people, like education, food, and all these important things, electricity, and so on, then of course it's difficult. But if you can cater these needs, then that's fine. Why not?
Fine. Would you allow me to have a little bit translation of few things, or brief points to our viewers?
Yes, go ahead.
So हम बात कर रहे हैं सिस्टम जो हम फॉलो करते हैं, उस सिस्टम के अंदर रह के हम उससे क्या अचीव कर सकते हैं. अगर डेमोक्रेसी हमारा सिस्टम है, अगर इलेक्टोरल प्रोसेस को हमने एनहांस करना है, हमने लोगों को इस बात के लिए अग्री करना है कि आप वोट देने आए, तो उनको तालीम की तरफ लेके जाना हमारा काम है. लेकिन कौन सी ऐसी रिफॉर्म्स हैं जो तालीम को भी बढ़ा सकती हैं और ऐसी सोच को भी बढ़ा सकती हैं? डेफिनेटली उन रिफॉर्म्स के लिए आपको चाहिए पैसा. वो कहां से आएगा? उसके लिए आपको इकोनॉमी स्ट्रांग करनी होती है. डेमोक्रेसी आपको किस इकोनॉमिक सिस्टम की तरफ लेके जाती है, उससे पहले हमें यह देखना होगा कि पाकिस्तान किस इकोनॉमिक सिस्टम को फॉलो कर रहा है. पाकिस्तान यकीनन आज भी कैपिटलिस्ट इन्फ्लुएंस से नहीं निकल सका है. हम बात कर रहे थे कुछ कैरी लोगर बिल के बारे में, जिसको एक्सेप्ट किया था हमने, और कुछ एड्स और कुछ ग्रांट्स हमें जो मिली थी, लेकिन उसके बाद हमने कहीं ना कहीं अपनी सॉवरेनिटी को शायद सरेंडर कर दिया था. हमने जब देखा था कि ओसामा का इंसिडेंट हुआ था, एबटाबाद का इंसिडेंट हुआ था, उसके बाद हमने ये रियलाइज किया था कि कैरी लोगर बिल की सूरत में कहीं ना कहीं हम अपने सॉवरेनिटी को खो चुके थे, या कहीं ना कहीं हमने उसको थोड़ा सा डिमिनिश कर दिया था या हल्का कर दिया था. लेकिन उसके बाद शायद हमें रियलाइज हो गया था कि अब अगर इकोनॉमिक साइड पे अपने आप को मजबूत बनाना है, तो किसी एक्सटर्नल इन्फ्लुएंस को लिए बगैर आपकी पॉलिसीज पे अगर बाहर का असर, बैरूनी असर पड़ता रहेगा, तो आपकी पॉलिसीज आपकी नहीं होंगी, आपकी डेमोक्रेसी आपकी नहीं होगी, आपकी सियासत आपकी नहीं होगी. फिर आप इलेक्टोरल रिफॉर्म्स करें या आप किसी भी सिस्टम को फॉलो करें, वो सिस्टम आपका हो ही नहीं सकता. इसलिए उसके लिए बहुत हद तक ये जरूरी है कि आप जब भी किसी किस्म की पॉलिसी को बनाएं, तो फॉर श्योर कर लें कि वो कहीं एक्सटर्नल बैरूनी इन्फ्लुएंस से तो नहीं भरपूर. यकीनन हमें ऐसी सिस्टम की ज़रूरत है, हमें ऐसी एजुकेशन की ज़रूरत है, हमें ऐसे इकोनॉमिक मीन्स की ज़रूरत है, ऐसे टारगेट्स को अचीव करने की ज़रूरत है जो किसी भी किस्म के बैरूनी तसल्लुत से आरी हों. उसके अलावा हम बात कर रहे थे डॉक्टर बिजुल से उनके बारे में, और इस बात को दोबारा कंटिन्यू करते हैं डॉक्टर बिजुल से. जी डॉक्टर बिजुल,
शुक्रिया.
ओके, we were talking about your experience in Pakistan. Yes. You said that this is really good, and very good thing is that there's a very young people.
Yeah, and people are friendly, very friendly.
Okay, and if it's the 6th growing population, then it doesn't matter, you just go ahead.
No, this I wouldn't say. This is uncontrolled growth is never good.
Okay.
Unless you can, well, you know
have to
what to expect.
Flourish your economic means, then you have to be like this.
Yeah.
Controlled means then you have to be flourished by economic means, isn't it so?
Not necessarily only economic means. Okay. I mean, that depends on how you put the question now. Could you specify that?
Okay, like this, if you talk about the population control, then what do you suggest that if you have economically resourceful, you are good to manage your population, you are good to feed them. So it's good then you need to control the population and ban that you don't need to have like this.
Well, if you watch other countries, let it be Western countries, but you only have to go to Sri Lanka, then you see how this is done by itself. The higher the economic background is, usually the lesser the number of the children is.
Okay.
And this is the problem.
Why it's so?
Because people try to put the focus on few things and do that better. If you have many things, like many houses, you are very busy in running them and taking care of them. If you have 2 or 3 children, and focus on them, you try to give them the best, then that needs more money.
Okay.
So this is usually how it goes.
Okay, means this is really important if you talk about the population control. Then first thing is that you need to have your economic means, your strong economic means. This is very important rather than to just focus and to control the population. Isn't so?
It is always the question, where should you start? And usually that goes hand in hand. You cannot wait until the economy is better and then you wait for a reduction of the population growth. You have to do both. Okay. And again, the most important thing is education. And education doesn't necessarily, but that's my personal opinion, literacy, not at all. There's another way of education. I mean, as long as people use their minds and they are bright, you don't need to be literate. This is not necessarily the definition of education. I'm sure United Nations sees that differently from me, but I met so many illiterate people, not only in Pakistan, but also in the Arab countries or all over the world, and they were exactly knowing what is going on. That doesn't mean they are stupid, because they were deprived of the right to read and write. This I do not mean.
Fine, right.
But they must be aware of the responsibility again. I mean, if you have children, you are responsible for them.
Fine. If you have population, then you have to feed them.
Yeah.
Like this. If you are state.
And more than feeding. Feeding is just one basic thing. How about healthcare? So many other things.
Healthcare, security, shelter, education, and everything included in it. Okay, if we talk about the Pakistan culture, what is the really impressive and what is the really attractive thing you find in Pakistan culture?
The diversity, definitely. This is something that impresses me so much. Being a German, we have one language, we have 2 minority languages, no German would even know them. Here you have more than 70 languages. I mean, people do not know them, but at least they know everybody is having a different mother tongue. Everybody knows a bit or a lot of Urdu, everybody knows a bit or a lot of English. This, of course, is very impressive, and that all these different cultures are managing. I mean, it's not always easy, of course. But
ethnicities and the diaspora is difficult to manage.
It is very difficult. It's very challenging, but still people manage. And
so, what do you think? Pakistan land is quite fertile to have any ethnicity, to have any language, to have any sect, even to have any religion. Pakistan land is quite fertile for this.
Definitely. I mean, that's what the history teaches us. If you go back to the Indus culture, which we learned in school, even in Germany, because it's so rich in culture and which was so important for the humanity to develop. Pakistan is perfect for that.
So doesn't it make a difference like this? These things like be chaotic in a sense when you have to settle down all matters. You have many ethnicities, you have many languages, you have many cultures, sects and religion. So isn't it so difficult to manage?
Of course it is difficult, but this is again a matter on how you will deal with that. If you take that as a challenge, I'm sure Pakistan will manage. If Pakistan says right from the beginning, well, too many languages, too many cultures, too many religions, then they will not manage, I'm sure.
And don't you think, Dr. this is the reason that Pakistan is facing major chaos and major conflicts, because having many things ethnicity-wise and regionals-wise and the language-wise and the sect-wise and the religion-wise, having many more. So don't you think this is more chaotic for Pakistan and the conflicts for Pakistan?
Depends on how you deal with that. If you think you want to control everything, for sure you will not be able to manage. But have a look at the United States, at Canada, at Australia. There's so many immigrants, and I'm sure more languages are spoken in Australia than in Pakistan, and they do manage. I mean, if you try to...
Australia is a very different than geographical means. Pakistan's a front line occupied by either here and there and everything.
Yeah. I agree. The situation in Pakistan is not easy, but still that is up to the politicians and the people. If they accept that, they cannot change it anyway. So either they accept it and deal with it, or they say, oh, we cannot, and then things will probably get even worse.
Okay. If you talk about it, the same thing, we put it in this way, that we are having many ideologies. As Pakistan land is very fertile to have many ideologies.
Yep.
Even within a religion, the people are having many ideologies as per the sects. So, if we are having many ideologies and most of them are out of context, not related with Islam actually, so which are actually basis of the militancy as well. So if you talk about to counter those things, so ideology always countered by the ideology. So what do you think, what should we do to counter the ideology by the ideology? These are the things we need to have discussion for this.
Yeah, sure. I mean, go to other countries again, you find everything is controlled, because if you don't control it, and of course there's a different definition again of how you could control it, but also in Germany not everything is allowed. This is again a difference of what does freedom mean.
Here you are right, everything should not be allowed.
No, and again this is, I told you that I know quite a bit on Libya. I did my PhD on Libya, and that is what people thought after Gaddafi was gone, that now they are absolutely free, but being absolutely free doesn't mean you can do everything, not at all. The more free you are, the more responsibility you have to bear. And this, of course, limits yourself, because bearing responsibility tells you by, you yourself tell yourself what you have to take care of. And this is the same situation here. Of course you need to control. I do know a bit of Islam. I studied that. I studied in Syria. I'm fluent in Arabic. So I know a bit of that. I would never say I will know everything, never, because it's, as you said, it's a huge topic.
A huge topic.
And again, that is, every religion is struggling in this field. Also Christianity, also Judaism. You have many different, you call it ideologies, many different lines.
Okay, that's actually very true, because Pakistan need to have control few things. But don't you think people will find it that you are controlling us, so you are having controlled democracy, which is equal to dictatorship? Isn't so? People won't take it like this?
Because you cannot, that is exactly coming back to Germany, what Germany found out. I mean, Hitler came into power doing nothing illegally, nothing. Everything he did to gain power was legal. So this is what people taught in Germany. Well, then we need some restrictions. Let it be like the 5% hurdle we have for elections. And every party which has less than 5% is out of parliament. These are things that matter, because otherwise you could have 100 parties or even more, and then democracy doesn't work out anymore. But again, this is not a solution for every country. Every country, every environment is so different.
They have to read the environment first.
You have to, it's a long process. You have to find out yourself. And therefore the same Pakistan has to find out how to deal with
but the one thing is for sure, that you have to control these things, because if you will prevail all these things which are in the ideological means, then it means you are flourishing militants.
Of course.
So you have to control. This is a for sure. The mean could be different, the way could be different according to the situation, according to your own circumstances. But this is for sure, you need to control these things.
Well, you need to stick, usually it's the constitution where something like that is written, and you have to stick to that. But you are only convincing to your own people if you really stick to that without exceptions. As soon as you allow exceptions, it will be very relative.
Actually, this is actually